And to discuss the contents of my monologue, first of all, I'm delighted to be joined on the line from Edinburgh. Hello, Richard. Thank you for joining me.
Good evening. Pleasure.
Can I ask you, first of all, what do you make of this thinking by the Scottish Government around some of our youngest people?
I think their attitude is that parents are bungling amateurs, and for the good of young people, they need to supplant the role of parents and replace it by professionals. And the views of those professionals are very much of a single philosophical outlook, which, in relation to the issue they raised about the transgender guidelines, it's the agenda of radical transgender activists. So the Scottish Government thinks that radical transgender activists have got the one true truth. They're the only people who really know how to bring up children. Therefore, they need to be given authority over children, and parents need to be pushed out if that's required, for the good of the children, of course.
But in this context, as it stands, it's going to be teachers. In the case of the youngest, it'll be primary school teachers. And is it appropriate? Can it be appropriate to empower teachers in this way, to some extent, whether they want it or not, without the necessity to inform parents? Why on earth would such intimate matters be being discussed at school and parents kept in the dark?
Yeah, but it is an absolute outrage. But this is the latest example. In Scotland, the basic principle is that 12-year-olds are treated as adults. They can make medical decisions, they can consent or refuse any sort of medical treatment. So if they go to the doctor and admit they're taking drugs or they're pregnant or whatever, all that can be dealt with without communicating anything with the parents. And I think that ethos goes through the school as well. They really think that their job is to take this sort of conspiratorial tone. We're on your side to the kids. So whatever you say, we agree with you, we're on your side. And it's up to you to talk to us if you've got a problem with mum and dad. If mum and dad are not quite valuing your opinion sufficiently, if they're not agreeing with you, if they're not supporting you, then you tell us about it and we'll help you to deal with mum and dad, or we'll help you to keep secrets from mum and dad. I mean, there's NHS documents in Scotland that tell young people how to keep secrets from their parents. They'll say, for example, when we send you test results, do you want them sent into a neighbour's house? Do you want them sent into the school? So they'll collaborate with young people in order to keep parents in the dark. And this principle has been established for many years. So the fact that it's applied to transgenderism is no surprise.
It just seems to me that it's the family. The family seems to come under increasing attack. To me, it seems as though that closed unit, that private unit of the family, is regarded more and more as something that ought to be opened up. The privacy, the very notion of privacy seems to be an issue, and there seems to be some question hanging over whether we as individuals and as families have the right to mind our own business and be assured that the authorities are keeping their noses out unless they have a specific reason to intervene.
Yeah. Let me read you a sentence from this transgender guidance that illustrates what you're saying. This is a quote from a trans young person. I had to run away from my parents because they were not happy about who I am. So that's a transgender young person saying, I've run away from home because my parents didn't agree with my decision to change gender. And that's quoted in this guidance as though that's a really valid opinion. And that's a quite reasonable response. And it says quite explicitly, parents who don't affirm young people's decision to change gender, if they disagree with it, then they're not being loving parents. They are denying the children their rights. So the basic message is, if parents don't toe the line with the Scottish Government's view on transgender issues with regard to their child, then they're not fit to be parents. And we should expect that child to run away. And that's quite a reasonable thing to do. So that's the sort of message, that's the ethos in which children are growing up in Scotland. So the Scottish Government thinks nothing of driving a wedge between children and their parents. They just think it's routine and it's necessary on these sort of issues.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for joining us tonight, Richard, and for all of that input. I'm going to